Imagine this. You spend your whole life trying to fit in. You shape yourself based on what others expect. You look for approval, fear what people might say, and believe your worth comes from how others see you. But what if everything you've been taught about caring so deeply is actually the very thing blocking your path forward? What if the secret to genuine fulfillment, authentic confidence, and meaningful success isn't found in controlling everything, but in simply letting go? Michel de Montaigne, a revolutionary 16th century French philosopher and writer who pioneered the essay as a literary form, delved deeply into this contradiction. His ideas show us how to find freedom, accept ourselves, and live without needless fears. He questioned our basic beliefs about who we are, what success means, and the pressures society puts on us. By the end of this journey, you'll see why the moment you stop caring about what others think is when your life really begins. Think about it. How much of your stress comes from trying to meet expectations that aren't even yours? How often do you stay quiet because you're afraid of being judged? How much energy do you waste worrying about things that, in the big picture, don't really matter? Montaigne's ideas reveal a simple truth. The more we let go of outside pressures, the more we become our real selves. He knew that life is unpredictable, that perfect doesn't exist, and that accepting yourself is the highest form of wisdom. But here's where most people get it wrong. Not caring doesn't mean being cold, lazy, or giving up. It doesn't mean hiding from life or ignoring your duties. It means freeing yourself from the constant need for approval, the fear of rejection, and the habit of overthinking every little thing you do. It means living on your own terms, being present in the moment, and knowing that you don't have to prove anything to anyone. Montaigne spent years watching how people behave. He saw how we become prisoners of our own minds, stuck in endless loops of worry, doubt, and insecurity. He asked why we let other people's opinions shape our choices, why we try to control everything when life is so unpredictable, why we chase ideas of success that aren't even our own. And most importantly, he wondered what would happen if we just stopped caring about these things. When you stop caring about being perfect, you start embracing your flaws. When you stop caring about what others think, you start living for yourself. When you stop trying to control everything, you make room for life to unfold naturally. Here's the twist. The less you care about proving yourself, the more powerful you become. Think about the most confident people you've ever met. Are they the ones always looking for approval, explaining themselves too much, and trying to be liked by everyone? Or are they the ones who seem relaxed, not bothered by small problems, and true to who they are? Montaigne knew this secret long before modern psychology proved it. People are drawn to real authenticity. When you stop looking for approval, when you accept your flaws, when you trust yourself, you naturally become more attractive. Not just in social situations, but in every part of life. The moment you let go of the fear of failure or judgment, you gain something much more valuable: freedom. Freedom to take risks without overthinking. Freedom to express yourself without holding back. Freedom to just be yourself without constantly measuring your worth by others' standards. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you let go of needless worries, not only do you find peace, but things in your life actually start to get better. Relationships become more real. Opportunities come naturally. Decisions become easier because they're based on what you truly want, not what you think you should want. This is the heart of Montaigne's philosophy. He saw that most of our suffering comes from fighting reality, from trying to force life into shapes that don't fit. But when you stop fighting, everything starts to line up. Think about this. How many times have you stopped yourself from speaking up because you were scared of what others might think? How often do you replay conversations in your head, worrying about how you came across? How much of your life has been shaped by expectations that were never really yours? Montaigne invites us to step away from these self-made limits. He challenges us to embrace the unknown, accept that nothing is perfect, and stop letting fear make our choices. And this is just the start, because as we dig deeper into his ideas, we'll find practical ways to break free from mental blocks, make decisions with confidence, and really feel the freedom that comes from letting go. Michel de Montaigne's philosophy isn't just a nice idea, it's a practical guide to changing how you experience life. Now let's go a step further. What happens when you really take on this mindset? What changes when you stop chasing approval, worrying about every possible outcome, and letting fear run your life. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that most of the pressures weighing you down were never real, that the rules you've been following, the expectations you've been trying to meet, and the fears that have kept you stuck were all just made up by society, by how you were raised, and by your own mind. Montaigne understood that humans are naturally anxious. We're always overthinking, trying to predict what's next, and fighting against the unknown. But what if the key to happiness isn't solving every problem, but accepting that some things are simply out of our control? One of Montaigne's most powerful lessons is this: the world will never fully understand you, and that's perfectly okay. Think about it. How much energy do we waste trying to explain ourselves, justify our choices, or prove our worth to people who may never really see us? We hold back our true thoughts to avoid conflict. We hide our real desires to fit in. We keep looking outside ourselves for approval, when in truth, the only approval that really matters is our own. Montaigne believed that much of our suffering comes from caring too much about things that don't help us. He saw how people tie themselves in knots over little worries, holding on to grudges, fears, and insecurities that don't add any value to their lives. Yet when you step back, you realize that most of these worries don't matter in the big picture. Have you ever noticed that the moment you stop obsessing over a problem, a solution just appears? Or that when you stop chasing someone's attention, they suddenly become more interested? This isn't just luck, it shows a deeper truth. When you let go, life flows. The problem is most people fight against this idea. They think that if they stop caring, they'll lose motivation, that letting go means giving up. But this gets it all wrong. Not caring doesn't mean not giving a damn about anything. It means focusing your energy on what really matters and freeing yourself from unnecessary burdens. Montaigne encouraged us to embrace being imperfect, not just in ourselves, but in the world around us. He knew that trying for total control is an exhausting, never-ending battle. Life is unpredictable, and no matter how much we plan, prepare, or try to control outcomes, some things will always be beyond our reach. So why not accept this truth? Why not embrace that mistakes, failures, and uncertainties are just part of being alive? Think how much lighter you'd feel if you stopped trying to control every detail of your life, if you stopped analyzing every decision to death, if you stopped fearing failure and instead saw it as just another step in your journey. Montaigne reminds us that every great thinker, leader, and artist in history has faced failure, rejection, and being misunderstood. Yet they didn't let these things define them. They moved forward, not bothered by what the crowd thought, because they knew that real success isn't found in others' approval, but in being true to yourself. Here's where it gets even more interesting. When you take on this mindset, people begin to notice. You become more confident, more magnetic, more in control of your own life. Not because you're forcing anything to happen, but because you're no longer wasting energy on things that don't help you grow. Have you ever wondered why some people seem to succeed without effort, while others struggle despite working non-stop? The difference isn't always in talent, smarts, or even hard work. It's in mindset. Those who thrive understand that letting go of unnecessary worries frees them to focus on what truly matters. Montaigne's wisdom teaches us that the more we let go, the more we gain. When we stop fearing failure, we take more risks. When we stop seeking approval, we become more authentic. When we stop trying to control everything, we make room for unexpected opportunities. This is why the philosophy of not caring when you get it right isn't about giving up, but about gaining freedom. It's about choosing where to put your energy, focusing only on what brings meaning, and refusing to be held back by distractions that don't add real value to your life. Think about your own life. How much of your stress comes from worrying about what others think? How many times have you held back from doing something you really wanted because you were afraid of judgment? How often do you replay past mistakes in your mind, as if punishing yourself would somehow change them? Montaigne's approach frees us from these mental chains. He reminds us that the past is gone, the future is uncertain, and the only thing we truly own is the present moment. And when you fully embrace this truth, everything begins to shift. But there's still more to discover, because now we'll explore a surprising insight: how letting go, rather than pushing people away, actually creates deeper and more meaningful connections with others. There's a strange twist in life. The moment you stop needing something, it often comes to you without effort. When you stop chasing approval, people respect you more. When you stop fearing failure, opportunities show up. And when you stop trying to control everything, life begins to flow in ways you never expected. This is one of the deepest lessons in Montaigne's philosophy. Letting go isn't running away. It's a path to deeper fulfillment. By releasing the need to force outcomes, you open yourself to life's natural rhythm. When you do this, you begin to experience something truly amazing, a sense of peace, power, and connection. But here's the question: if letting go is so powerful, why do most people struggle to embrace it? The answer is simple: because we've been taught that control equals security. We've been told that if we try hard enough, plan carefully enough, and worry intensely enough, we can shape the world how we want it. But Montaigne reminds us that this is an illusion. No amount of control can eliminate uncertainty. No amount of planning can prevent surprises. And no amount of worrying can change reality. Instead of fighting life, he invites us to embrace it exactly as it is, with all its unpredictability, imperfection, and chaos. Think about your relationships. How many fights start because of unmet expectations? How much pain comes from trying to make people act a certain way? How often do we try to control others' opinions, actions, and feelings, only to end up frustrated, disappointed, or hurt? Montaigne understood that real connection isn't about control, it's about acceptance. The more you allow others to be themselves without trying to change them or force them into your expectations, the deeper and more genuine your relationships become. This is why people who practice letting go often experience more love, respect, and admiration. They don't suffocate others with demands or expectations. They don't need constant reassurance. They simply exist in a state of calm confidence, allowing others to come and go freely. And strangely enough, this makes them more attractive, more respected, and more valued. Have you noticed that people who desperately seek attention often get the least of it, and that those who are at peace with themselves naturally draw others in? This is the power of letting go. Montaigne believed that how we relate to others directly shows how we relate to ourselves. If we constantly seek validation, it means we haven't fully accepted ourselves. If we fear being alone, it means we haven't yet become comfortable in our own company. If we need others to act a certain way to feel secure, it means we haven't built our own inner stability. But the moment you shift your focus inward, when you stop trying to control people, when you stop fearing loneliness, when you stop measuring your worth by outside standards, you become truly free. Think about it. How much of your emotional energy is spent reacting to what others say and do? How often do you let someone else's opinion ruin your whole day? How many times have you held onto anger, resentment, or disappointment, only to realize later that it did nothing but hurt you? Montaigne teaches us that peace comes from within, not from others' approval. Once you understand this, your whole approach to life changes. Imagine moving through the world unshaken by criticism. Imagine facing uncertainty without fear. Imagine being able to love and appreciate people without feeling the need to control them. This is what happens when you stop caring about things that don't truly matter. And here's the most important part. Letting go doesn't mean withdrawing from life. It doesn't mean becoming cold or emotionless. It means engaging with the world fully, but without attachment, without unnecessary worry, and without the need to force outcomes. Montaigne's philosophy is about balance. It's about caring deeply for what truly matters, your values, your purpose, your inner peace, while releasing what drains your energy and serves no real purpose. So ask yourself, what are you holding on to that no longer serves you? What expectations, fears, or attachments are weighing you down? And what would happen if you simply let them go? As we move into the final part of this journey, we'll uncover the ultimate truth: why embracing uncertainty, imperfection, and letting go leads not just to inner peace, but also to a life of deeper meaning, success, and fulfillment. At this point, you might wonder, if letting go is so powerful, why don't more people embrace it? Why do so many stay trapped in endless cycles of anxiety, approval-seeking, and control? The answer is fear. Fear of the unknown, fear of failure, fear of what might happen if we stop micromanaging every aspect of our lives. Society has taught us to believe that if we loosen our grip, everything will fall apart. But the truth is, when you stop caring about things that don't truly matter, everything falls into place. Montaigne's philosophy isn't about being reckless, it's about wisdom. He teaches that by letting go of unnecessary worries, we gain clarity. By releasing control, we gain freedom. And by embracing uncertainty, we gain a life of deeper meaning and fulfillment. Think about the greatest moments of your life, the moments that truly mattered. Were they planned down to the last detail, or did they happen when you least expected them? Some of the most beautiful things in life can't be forced. Love, inspiration, creativity, and even success. They often come when you stop chasing them, when you create space for them to appear naturally. Consider the artist who stops worrying about whether people will like their work and ends up creating something truly amazing. The entrepreneur who stops fearing failure, takes bold risks, and changes an entire industry. The person who stops desperately searching for love and, in that space of self-acceptance, effortlessly meets the right person. This is the paradox of life. What you hold on to too tightly often slips away, but what you release often comes back to you in ways better than you imagined. Montaigne reminds us that life isn't meant to be a struggle. Yes, there will be challenges, setbacks, and uncertainties, but fighting against them, resisting them, and obsessing over them only adds to our suffering. And instead, he encourages us to flow with life, to accept its imperfections, to laugh at its absurdities, to find joy even in the chaos, with the right person. This is life's paradox. What you hold too tightly often slips away, but what you release often returns in greater ways than you imagined. Montaigne reminds us that life isn't meant to be a struggle. Yes, there will be challenges, setbacks, and uncertainties, but fighting against them, resisting them, and obsessing over them only increases our suffering. Instead, he encourages us to flow with life, to accept its imperfections, to laugh at its absurdities, to find joy even within the chaos. Because here's the ultimate realization. You don't need to control everything to be happy. You don't need to prove anything to anyone. You don't need to fear uncertainty, because life itself is uncertain, and that's what makes it beautiful. When you stop caring about external validation, you become truly confident. When you stop fearing failure, you become unstoppable. When you stop trying to control every detail, you allow space for magic to happen. That's what Montaigne understood centuries ago. Wisdom isn't found in trying to conquer life, but in learning to dance with it. So as you move forward, ask yourself, what can you let go of today? What unnecessary weight have you been carrying that no longer serves you? What would your life look like if you simply trusted that things will fall into place? Because the moment you stop caring about the wrong things, the right things find their way to you. And that is the true power of Montaigne's philosophy. Thank you for watching.